What's up, everybody? It's Man of Low Moral Fiber here. My name's Luke, and in this episode of, I guess it's not an episode, in this video, I will be playing as Maya at Overpowered level 8, clearing the Heroes Pass using a Legendary Cat build. Now, I'm kind of not liking these Plasma Casters as much as I used to at lower levels. At OP levels, they seem to be lacking a punch that's kind of necessary. So I'm going to experiment and see if there's any SMG that I actually like better than these Hyperion Plasma Casters. That's what I'm using now. I think possibly I might get better damage from a non-E-Tech weapon, because I don't think Reaper boost splash damage. I'm not sure about all this. I haven't spent too much time with Maya, especially not recently. So I'll have to look into it and actually figure out, what's the best option there. But I wanted to go ahead and get some practice in with Maya because I plan to play Maya a little bit more often here in the near future, and I figured Heroes Pass would be a good map to go ahead and get some practice. It has a lot of loaders, but also quite a few humanoid enemies as well, and some of these humanoid enemies are very, very aggravating. For example, the Hyperion guys that can go invisible actually end up blocking phase lock while they're invisible, and that's very, very annoying. I noticed that. I actually didn't know that before I had attempted this run today. I noticed that I was trying to phase lock a guy and he was just running straight at me while he was invisible. Came up to me with a shotgun and killed me. It was a real shame. I didn't understand why phase lock wasn't working on him. But they do always have that brief moment where they're totally there when they first spawn. So if you can grab them with phase lock at that particular moment, you'll be alright. When these guys jump down here, make sure you phase lock whichever one of them is going to have a rocket launcher if one of them spawns with a rocket launcher. Sometimes more than one will spawn with a rocket launcher, and you're just going to have to make quick work of those guys. Rocket launchers at overpower levels are very, 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 very dangerous. They will often, take you down very quick. If it's a bandit rocket launcher with a high fire rate, that can be really, really bad. But sometimes just a normal Torg rocket launcher can actually kind of get through Health Gate due to the way it has two particular and different explosions that happen, like the initial impact and then the splash damage, and sometimes that will actually bypass Health Gate, which is really, really aggravating, and it's one of the only things in the game that can one-hit you without damage over time. I think it might be the only thing. And then, well, obviously doors and stuff, but also the E-Tech launchers can apply damage over time from far away. They have a huge blast radius, so you have to be really careful for those. I think this is one of the more difficult mobbing maps in the game, and I definitely like the way it's kind of laid out in a almost straight but narrow fashion. There's obviously a few turns back and forth, but you're always fighting in kind of a narrow corridor, which is pretty cool. There are definitely a lot of open maps, and so it's nice to have some of these close quarters maps to give variety, because I notice a lot of times in Borderlands 2 you're kind of fighting, and you have massive amounts of space to work with, like in the Highlands or the Wildlife Preserve. Well, most of the Wildlife Preserve, there's an inside portion in there. But, different maps like that where you have plenty of space to work with. Sometimes ones like this that are a lot more condensed and packed are, more entertaining than some of those larger spread out maps. So we've got past the first real pinch point in the map there, which is that bridge that you have to jump across, where a bunch of sniper enemies, rocket loaders, gun loaders, and EXP loaders, exploders, all spawn, and that can be a very irritating part. But luckily Maya's phase lock has great utility there, and it makes it pretty easy to deal with all those guys. Now this second pinch point in the map is going to come up here in the form of a constructor and a lot of other enemies that spawn as well. This next area I think is probably the toughest area in the map for the build I'm playing with currently. I'm going to have to look into, see if there's, like I said, see if there's a better SMG I can use than these Hyperion Plasma Casters. I'll have to figure out how Reaper interacts with the Plasma Casters. There's probably information and testing that someone's already done out there, but I like to do a lot of my testing for myself so that I know that it's 100% accurate and whatnot. And when I end up running those tests, I'll be sure to share with you guys the results of those. I'm thinking maybe I'll just, try to get a fast-firing Dahl SMG and just be really accurate with it. I'm not sure, though. I'll have to figure it out. Since constructors definitely resist grenade and splash damage, though, I am going to go ahead and switch to the bee and bitch here to go ahead and take this constructor out, because I don't want him spawning a lot of extra enemies on us and kind of, you know, throwing us off here. So that's why I switched to the bee real quick to take those guys out. When switching back to the evolution, though, from the bee, you are below health gate, so you're going to need to recover some health before you really put yourself in harm's way. Otherwise, you will be taken down pretty quickly. So I made sure when I switched back to the evolution there that I had ample space and I wasn't going to get, you know, taken down in one shot, because that would have been a real shame. Enemies are going to start spawning behind me now, but I want to pretty much keep moving forward. So unless an enemy actually walks into this area, I'm going to let them be back there. They weren't, you know, quick enough to spawn to keep up with the speed I was running at, so I don't really see a need to kill these guys. I am going to be a little bit careful in this area, though, because I do think it's kind of the hardest portion of the map. Once this bend comes around here, you can get a lot of these little Hyperion guys, some of which will spawn those turrets that you definitely need to watch out for. Those turrets can be a lot more dangerous than, you know, most enemies, even up to badass enemies, because they have such a ridiculous fire rate, those turrets do, and they will kill you very, very quickly at overpower levels. So I definitely recommend prioritizing those even above, you know, enemies that you can deal with phase lock and stuff, because those turrets obviously can't be phase locked. So if you phase lock an enemy, definitely take out the turret before you deal with the enemy that you have trapped, because he's no longer a problem, whereas the turret is still very much a problem. So I know that I'm running low on SMG ammo, and I'm getting to a portion of the map where I'm going to have to expend a lot of ammo to kill these upcoming double warloaders and numerous Hyperion dudes, plus a super badass, I think ultimate badass loader actually. So I'm going to open some ammo boxes, hoping to get some more SMG ammo for that particular occurrence, because all I'm using right now is SMGs. One thing that is a shame in Borderlands 2 is that there are no real good assault rifles for the most part. They seem underpowered as a whole, and there's no character that makes good use of them like Maya makes good use of SMGs. Axton has some assault rifle boost, and so does Krieg, but they're both pretty lackluster in reality. I guess Salvador can make good use of the Lead Storm for, you know, B, extra projectile abuse, and use with the Lady Fist. I've been seeing that quite a bit lately. So, you know, I'm not saying assault rifles are useless, just as a whole they feel underpowered. So now this ultimate badass loader is going to spawn. I'll try to kill him in one phase lock so that he can't go ahead and really get started on us. Didn't succeed in killing him all the way, but I knocked his arms off, so all he can do is fire the I-beam at us, and luckily we have the guardrail to protect us from that. We have a few more guys down here that we're going to need to take out. Definitely watch out for these marksmen. If some of them have elemental sniper rifles, that can really be a problem, because sniper rifles, no matter what type of sniper rifle it is, are always going to have a really high elemental chance, and damage over time can obviously be devastating. We're almost to the end of the map now, though, and that's pretty cool because, like I said, this is one of the tougher maps to work through. After this particular area, we're going to get to the stage where we have to kill the super, I guess it's either an ultimate or super badass constructor. I'm not sure on the terminology, but it's going to be one of those really large constructors here at the end. And this particular one, all it really does is spam rockets, which is good and bad. It's really irritating if you can't find cover from it, but with the constructor's relative position and all of the cover available, it's actually pretty easy to avoid these rockets if you're able to take out the constructor from afar. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take this big constructor out in a way similar to the way I took out the constructor from you know, a little ways back that's obviously a lot smaller. I'm just going to find a place where I can attach my B shield and then, you know, put a lot of rounds downrange and hopefully get as many of those in the critical spot as we can. The bitch's stabilizing mechanic will make it very easy to get critical hits once we've, you know, got it stabilized and we have a good line on it. Once we're lined up, we'll be able to keep it on there very, very easily. So what I'm going to do here is get in this little area where I know I can be safe. I actually found this area when I was still like level 29 or whatever I was coming through here the first time, and I had to take this guy out with a sniper rifle because I kept trying to run at him and he kept killing me with rockets. But I found this, and it works really well because there's a pole there, and if he tries to shoot the rockets that will go around the pole, they'll actually hit this piece of drilling equipment or whatever I'm hiding under right now. And so that's pretty much the end of this. I spend a little bit more time here dealing with some surveyors and whatnot in the end. It's pretty uneventful, so I'll just go ahead and show you my gear and skill build now, since we've gotten past that constructor climax portion, which is kind of the conclusion of the map. The rest of it's just a few straggly mobs. So I thank you guys very much for watching, and I hope to catch you next time. Bye, guys.